And there are certainly leaders who might feel that flexibility is going to have a negative impact on productivity. Mm-hmm. How do you respond to that?
My response to that executive is, how did you measure productivity prior to the pandemic? The answer I usually get is the number of hours worked or the number of hours someone spent in the office. Is that actually a measure of impact? Is productivity, the way that you measure it, a measure of impact? Usually the answer is no. For too long, we have been focused on the person who's the first in, the last to leave. This person has hustle because they're always in the office. But very rarely was there a question of what are they actually doing in the office? What are the outcomes that they're producing? And so moving from an office first way of working to more of a digital first way of working is a wonderful opportunity for leaders to think about how they're measuring productivity and also make that shift to be more outcomes and results driven versus activity driven. And this is particularly important as we think about equity and inclusion in the workplace. So what we're seeing from our research is that 41% of executives list proximity bias as their top concern when it comes to flexible work. And proximity bias is essentially favoritism towards someone who is located nearby, or in this case, in the office. And what's troubling about proximity bias is what we're seeing from the data is that those who want to go back into the office full time tend to be executives, they tend to be male, they tend to be white employees, whereas those who want more flexible work arrangements tend to be employees of color, caregivers, namely working moms, as well as women. And if we go back to those traditional measures of productivity of, I know that so-and-so is doing a great job and they should be promoted because I see them more often, then we run the risk of erasing the gains when it comes to sense of belonging, relationships with coworkers that we have seen over the last 2 years because proximity bias has now taken over our overall performance measurement. So it's really critical for leaders to be aware of the bias that can come from hybrid or flexible work, and also ensure that they're looking at the outcomes and the results driven by the employees on their team.